Hello, stranger.
You're alive.
You're alive. Oh, God. I know that we've been texting, but it's just not the same as seeing your face.
No, it's not. I agree.
So I've missed you. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm surviving,
Yeah.
You know how it goes?
One day at a time.
One day at a time. I meant to have the music of our podcast queued up, ready to go for you, because I know that gets you in the spirit. And you've had to sing yourself in a couple of times. Yeah. And I was going to get it all queued up for you, and then I completely forgot. And so I just feel like I've let you down in some way.
That's okay. That was a good idea, though.
Hold on. Let me see if I can do something, get something sorted here.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Cut out.
Yeah, right. I didn't need to hear myself that loud. Oh, there you go. Are you feeling more in the mood now?
I am. I'm feeling better.
Excellent. So another thing that I thought, do you fancy just going live quick? Because you remember I took to Instagram, I can't even remember when it was, a couple of weeks ago, and said to people that we were alive and we were going to try and find some time to sit down together. Shall we prove to folks?
We should, because we were doing so good. We had like all these episodes pre-recorded.
Yeah, we had episodes in hand and everything, and then just life just went nuts.
It did.
So let me, I'll go on as us, and I'll invite you as your world famous, very well celebrated, rejoice out loud, checking connection, it says. Oh, I'm now live. Tiffany, I'm live. How do I invite you? Nana doesn't know how to invite you. Hold on.
It's a button on the bottom.
Search. Oh, yeah, look at this. Invite. I'm inviting you. Has it worked?
Hold on.
Oh, Matilda's here. Hi.
Oh, Maddie.
Hello.
I'm going to request to join because it left.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wait,
Guys.
Hold on. Don't do that one.
Let me tell folks what's going on. So, hello, people. I'm wearing headphones and I'm in my kitchen because this is where the magic happens. And let me see if I can show you what's happening right now.
There we go.
Look who it is. That is Tiffany. Here she is. Let me try and get it back to... I don't know how to work the cameras. Hey! So, essentially, Tiffany and I are back in podcast mode.
We are. We're here.
I can hear myself twice. Can you hear yourself twice? Is it putting you off?
I know. I've tried to figure out how to mute it, and I can't figure it out.
Hold on. Yeah, but if I turn this down, I'm not going to hear you. This is plunder. We didn't, guys. We're doing this on the hop. This is very much in the moment, and we've got 2 microphones on the go, 2 speakers on the go, and
there we go.
Oh, there we are.
Now I got it gone. Okay. Hi, everybody.
There we go.
We're both alive.
We're both alive, and we're recording the podcast.
Oh, no.
Oh, Tiffany's been binned out.
There we go.
Well, look.
Oops, sorry. I'm trying to get this thing to go away on the bottom, and it won't go away.
Tiffany's accidentally binned herself out. We didn't think this through. We're literally recording the podcast right now.
Stop.
So we thought it would be a really fun thing to come on and tell you guys. Hold on, let me flick you back to Tiffany so that you can at least see her. There we go. She's there. But because we've got all sorts of tech going on, it's all kind of talking to each other. And so we're not doing very well at talking to each other and talking to you because our tech's getting in the way. But we just thought it would be a really fun thing to do, to hop on here and there she is waving, and to let you guys know that not only are we both still very much alive, but we are recording. So I will now hop off so that we can record, because Tiffany's just sat there in her living room, bless her, watching this one-way conversation. But there we go. So hopefully we can get this out to you by Wednesday. Do you reckon we can get it out by Wednesday, can't we? Tiffany's not.
That's on Wednesday.
That's on me, she's saying. But there we go. So everybody enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Is today Sunday?
Yes.
Yeah, today's Sunday, yeah. So enjoy. Thanks, thank you, Matilda. Thank you very much. We will have a great time. Well, I don't know how great of a time we're going to have, actually. We're going to do episode 106, which isn't, the best one, but we'll get through it for you guys. We'll get through it. So, bye, everybody. I'm going to crack on. It was nice to see you all. Have a fantastic... Oh, Tiffany's waving. You can't see her, but she's waving. And have a fantastic weekend, you guys, and we will see you all soon. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Hey, you had a decent amount of viewers.
Did I? All right.
Yeah. Can you hear me echoing? Or is it just on my end?
Yeah, it's just on your end. Yeah,
I hear myself, and I don't know why.
Is it better?
Yeah, there's no echo.
Yeah, fixed it.
Yeah.
Yay.
I don't know what was going on.
Okay, so guys, we went live.
We did.
It's probably not going to make it into the cut because there were all kinds of echoes going on. And then when we cancelled the live, somehow we had managed to break Tiffany's earphones / mic. And so it was just basically we tried to be too cute.
We hope it was worth it.
We hope it was worth it. It probably wasn't, Tiffany. It probably wasn't.
We hope it made you all happy.
But we tried. Look, we tried a thing.
We did.
You can't say
it was a good idea.
It was. We're innovative. It was just the execution where it fell down.
Right.
That we tried. So, anyways, we asked, and our listeners came through. We asked for questions. We asked people to write to us and get in touch. And we've actually picked up a new listener, someone called Charlie, who wrote in right away. And Charlie was playing catch up because she had only watched episodes 1 and 2. But to be fair, where we've had like a little mini hiatus, an unexpected hiatus, Charlie's probably caught up with us now. But Charlie...
Hi, Charlie.
Yeah, hi, Charlie. Charlie wrote to us to thank us for the podcast, and she said that she hoped we were going to do a full rewatch, which we absolutely are, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to go all the way through. We can skip season 5, though. That's fine.
I liked season 5.
I didn't like it at the time because I didn't like that they removed Andy from Station 19. I had a really hard time with that.
But now you're slightly more balanced in your approach to Andy.
That's true.
So you might not give a rat's anymore.
No, I'll be happy because Chief Ross came in on season 5.
There you go. There you go. So you can watch it with fresh eyes and a fresh perspective.
I can.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll try.
So, hi, Charlie. Thank you for listening. Sorry that you've probably caught up with us now, but hopefully going forward, we'll keep up a more sensible pace for you. But Charlie also had a question. So Charlie said that she would love to know if we think there was much difference between Andy going behind Jack's back and getting promoted to lieutenant and Maya going for captain behind Andy's back because... Well, I'll use Charlie's words because I honestly think there's no difference. Maya did not deserve all the hate and disrespect from the team when she got promoted. Andy deserved lieutenant, but she still went behind Jack's back, in my opinion. I feel in seasons 1 and 2, Andy wasn't ready for captain. I think she expected captain because of Pruitt. And as much as I'll always love Captain Bishop, Andy finally earned being captain in season 6. So what do you reckon about Andy going behind Jack's back and then Maya going behind Andy's back? Are these two things equal and the same?
That's a hard one. I don't quite view it the same. Because I don't think I haven't watched that episode in so long. Did Maya really go behind Andy's back and ask for it? Or was she just given it?
No, because Sullivan
didn't he pick Maya?
He sort of put it in her ear, didn't he? And said, look, you've got what it takes.
Yeah.
Why don't you go for it? And she did. from what I recall.
So nobody told Andy that she had well, wait. I don't know. I don't quite view it the same. And then we get to the point where Maya even goes to Robert and says, "Give it to Andy." That she says, "I shouldn't have gotten it. Give it to Andy," which she should have gotten it because she was ready for it. So no, I don't quite view it the same, just because I don't think Maya did it on her own. I think she was kind of pushed to do it.
And Maya does
it.
Get massive heat for that. Everybody always says, don't they, like that she did Andy wrong in doing that, and that she did go behind Andy's back and she didn't deserve it. It should have been Andy's. And what she did was dirty. Maya does take so much heat for that decision.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody particularly minds Andy doing that to Jack.
I mean, if somebody's boss comes up to them and says, "Hey, I think you'd be really good for this promotion," who wouldn't go for the promotion?
Yeah.
Whereas the only reason Andy went to get lieutenant is because she wanted to be captain. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, she didn't even have it on her radar to become lieutenant. So, yeah, I don't quite view them the same. I think what Andy did was a little bit harsher than what Maya did.
There we go. So we're with Charlie, because I agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go, Charlie. That's what we think.
There you go. Yep.
So thank you. Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Yeah, it was a good question.
It was a really good question, actually. And it was nice to have someone else kind of speaking up for Maya, because sometimes I feel that like I'm on my own.
Yeah.
I'm on my own in that battle. But no, so that was great. And didn't I text you the other day and say, remind me to mention something? And then I forgot.
Yes, you did, but I won't be able to tell you what it was.
That's fine. It was someone else that contacted us, and I said, remind me that, there we go. I just searched our messages and found it. Yeah.
Okay, so, good.
Minna got in touch and said that she agrees with me that Ryan is Karina. That Ryan is essentially the Karina character.
Okay.
What do you think? Do you see similarities in them? Or
like, are you saying that it's like Andy's Karina?
Well, I just think that because he seems to be a lot more like level. I think a lot of the time he's a bit more level-headed for me. He's very gentle. He's gentle in his approach, but he's also not worried about kind of saying what's on his mind.
Yeah.
He brings the outside perspective because he's not part of 19, because he's been brought in from the outside, because he's not kind of involved in all the politics of the situation and stuff. I think he tends to see things from a better viewpoint because he's not mired in it. He can see the whole picture. And I think just generally, like, his vibe, I think for me, when he went, there was a vacuum there that I think has been filled by Karina, and that she takes on the same kind of role that Ryan had for me.
Yeah, I can see that. Sure.
Are you sure I'm not just making up?
No, I can see that. And it kind of makes me sad that they got rid of him. And I looking at it now, I think they got rid of him to make room for the Robert Sullivan relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So no, I would have liked to have seen him do a couple more seasons. I was sad they got rid of that character, because I think that he could have been to Andy what Karina is to Maya, kind of level her out.
Yeah.
Because I like them together. Even though I still would have liked to have seen him with Maya, but then we wouldn't have had Karina. So
exactly,
everything works out.
It does. But yeah, no, I do think it's a shame because I really liked Ryan as a character. I think they've killed off a couple of really worthy characters because I really enjoyed Ripley as well. I thought Ripley was a really good guy.
Yeah, and he would have treated Vic better than Theo.
Yeah. But I suppose when you want to really like kind of shake things up and really break a character, that's what you do is you just go to the obvious, I guess, and just kill the person. The person right. That's closest to them. Like, how can we just absolutely destroy this person? Oh, I know. So, but he was a casualty of the writers' war. It's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. I agree.
But he was in this one, which is
yes,
106 Stronger Together. So we are now finally in the back end of the season. How did you feel about this episode?
I thought it was boring.
Me too.
I could have skipped over this episode.
I literally have written, I would skip it, full stop.
Yeah.
That's literally what I've written. I would skip it.
There's a couple in season 1 I would have skipped.
Yeah. I think I watched 107 shortly after 106, and that one picked up for me. But this one, because we've had this like unintentional hiatus, I actually wrote the notes for this episode about a month ago. Mm-hmm. And I thought, for professionalism's sake, I should probably rewatch it. And then I thought, no, I can't put myself through it again. I remember it well enough. Like, we'll muddle through. We always do. I don't need to watch it again. My notes are pretty detailed. But I literally couldn't even be asked to rewatch it for this podcast. It was just so one note, and it seemed really shallow to me. And then the fact that it came straight after 105, which for me was an absolute cracker with Marshall, and that failed rescue of Marshall from the electrical lines, and then the whole bit between Maya and Andy. And then to this, it was just like, really? What did you think?
No, I agree. I don't think you could have got me to watch it again. I watched it yesterday because I had forgotten. Last time I had seen it was a couple of years ago. And I was looking ahead at the episodes coming up, and there's a couple of them coming up where I'm like, I really don't want to watch that.
No.
Which surprises me because looking back now that for season 2, there's 17 episodes that they got renewed. I could have seen it be a risk that they didn't with season 1 and the boring episodes that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I'll readily admit that I don't really remember. I remember we were just talking just now before we went to air about the Hotbox episode, and I do remember that one. That's a standout for me. And I think I'm right in saying that the big incident in the season finale is in a skyscraper.
Yep.
And I remember bits of that, but other than that, I don't really remember much of season 1. So, yeah, I'm probably with you on that, actually. But shall we muddle through this as best we can?
Yeah.
It's probably going to be quite a quick one. So this originally aired on the 19th of April 2018. It was written by Angela Harvey, and she also wrote Series 2, Episode 5, Do a Little Harm. The director for this one, I'm going to butcher her name, so I apologise, but I think you're going to pronounce it Nzinga Stewart. And she has had a really interesting and fantastic career. Like, I'm finding her career a lot more fascinating than this episode, to be honest. But she started out directing music videos, and then she went on to TV shows, and she's done some absolute bangers of TV shows. And she did some TV shows that are Station 19 adjacent. So she's directed episodes of The Fosters, which is obviously Peter Page's baby. And then this is a very 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon connection to Station 19. But she directed some Major Crimes episodes, which is a spin-off of The Closer. So I really have Kevin Baconed it because Kevin Bacon is the husband of Kira Sedgwick, who was The Closer. But Stacey K. Black started her directing career on The Closer.
Oh, okay.
She did hair and makeup. Yeah, she did hair and makeup for the whole thing. She was Kira Sedgwick's hair person. And then she asked Kira Sedgwick if she could have a bash at directing. And so she directed 2 episodes of The Closer. And then obviously that ended, Major Crime started. And then this director, Nzinga Stewart, went on to direct that. She's got other Shondaland credits. She did 2 episodes of Grey's Anatomy, one of which was season 14, episode 13, which was the backdoor pilot for Station 19.
Okay.
So that's where we see Andy and learn a bit about Andy to get people interested in going over to Station 19. I would just like to mention that Karina DeLuca was not in that episode. She was in episodes 12 and 14, but not 13. So
I didn't know that that's how it started, that Andy was in an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
yeah. Yeah, they did. Yeah, one of these like backdoor pilots, which they often do when you get a spin-off show, which is that they bring characters from the spin-off and bring them in for an episode of the original show to try and get people interested in the spin-off.
Okay.
So this director, Nazinka Stewart, directed the backdoor pilot. She directed episodes of Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, went on to direct massive shows like Little Fires Everywhere, which obviously had Kerry Washington in it from Scandal, Maid, Inventing Anna, Daisy Jones and the Six. Honestly, she's had an absolutely colossal career. Oh, Pretty Little Liars, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. But yeah, so huge, and Station 19 is a part of it.
That's cool.
So although it was this episode, so, you know. But I don't think her directing was at fault, to be fair. But
no.
So this episode to me felt like it was just one giant block with a very lackluster rescue in it and a bit of Pruitt.
Yeah,
Is that how it felt to you?
Yeah.
So shall we just start with the tiny bit of Pruitt and then get that done? So we're at 19, we're at the firehouse. Dean hears the phone ringing. He goes to answer it and sees Pruitt being sick into a waste paper bin in the captain's office. Dean, this is, tries to convince Pruitt to go home and rest, but Pruitt tells him basically to mind his own business and then takes over the phone call that Dean had attended to. Then later in the episode, Pruitt goes and finds Dean in the turnout room, tells him that he's feeling better, but that he's going to take Dean's advice, go home and try to catch the end of the game and relax. But he asks Dean not to tell anybody, and Dean appears to agree not to say anything because he tells Pruitt that if he's feeling better, then Dean feels better. And then as the show closes, we see that Pruitt hasn't in fact gone home to catch the end of the game. He's gone to Grey Sloan to see Dr. Bailey. I mean, that's it in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yep. And then he ends up leaving the hospital.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's in episode 7. But we leave him in the hospital, don't we?
Yep.
But do you think that he did the right thing not telling Andy just while he doesn't know what's going on? Like taking the view that there's no point worrying her over what's potentially nothing, especially since this was intersecting with her taking the captain's test?
I think there should have been a scene maybe afterwards where he told her what happened and that he went home to rest, so maybe she could go check on him and then she'd see that he wasn't there. Something like that. I mean, there has to be something interesting somewhere happening.
Yeah. But do you think from a personal standpoint, Pruitt did the right thing by Andy? Or do you think that he should be kind of keeping her up to date and he should have like given her a little tinkle and said, I'm at the hospital, FYI?
No, I think he should have told her.
Yeah?
I do.
Okay. I think I'm with him on this one.
The captaincy thing went to hell in a handbasket anyway.
True.
So,
true.
I mean, it's not like she would have checked her phone while she's doing the captaincy. Julie just could have shot her a text, I'm not feeling good, I'm heading home. And then she could have seen it like when she was done. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think maybe I'm with him that until you know what's going on, it's not worth worrying people about things, maybe. You don't want to add extra stress to people. So I can see why he did it. But I can also see it from the other side that if it was my parent, I'd be furious with them.
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. Is like, you better tell me.
Yeah. Do you think that because I think he's put Dean in a really awkward position asking him to lie, or at least lie by omission. So do you think he should have been honest with Dean and said to Dean, look, I'm feeling unwell, so I'm going to go and get checked out. But because I don't want to worry Andy, keep it to yourself for now. If there's anything to tell, I will tell Andy.
Right.
Do you think that he should have done that rather than just saying to Dean, I'm going to go home and check the game?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't know. It just feels like if you're going to ask somebody to lie for you, at least be honest with them about why you're doing it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it put Dean in a really awkward spot, and that would have kind of taken some of the heat off of him.
Yeah.
For sure.
And Dean's been so kind. It just seems like it's the kind thing to do as well.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Kurt's a complicated man, isn't he?
Yes. I was kind of sad when his character left the show.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But I feel really bad for him with all of this going on, because I think it's really difficult to admit that you're not invincible.
Right.
And I think especially when you've been so used to being the tough, like the tough guy, and the person that everybody goes to and everybody feels that is invincible, to then be in a position where you have to admit that you're not, and you might have to admit that to others and not be that person for them anymore. I just really feel for him.
I agree.
But it was still shady to ask Dean to lie and then to lie to Dean.
Yeah, it was.
Have you got anything else to say about Pruitt? It was short and sweet, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, there's not really anything to say.
Shall we talk about this half-assed rescue then?
Sure.
Look, it must be a naff episode because there's two girls kissing, and I'm prepared to skip it. So that's how naff this episode is.
It was just so boring. It's like, it's even boring talking about it. It's just,
I know,
it was terrible.
And the way it was paced and the whole way it was put together was so strange as well, that I didn't even put the cold open at the top of my notes.
Yeah.
Because it was such a weird cold open, and it just, I don't know. But the cold open, as always, alluded to this rescue, if you can call it that. But essentially, there were two friends walking and talking. One of them saying that she wants to move from Seattle to New York. The other friend is noticeably disappointed at hearing that news. And then someone else entirely trips over a pothole. And that's our cold open. And then leading up to our rescue, we start out at 19. I think this was the best bit of the whole episode, really, because Travis has been made acting captain for the day. And Dean and Maya are just ripping him for it, just making fun of him. He's doing things literally by the book, as in he is carrying the book around with him.
Right.
Flicking through the pages. And he's had his uniform professionally starched and pressed in readiness for the day. And Vic uses the opportunity to manipulate Travis into switching positions with her so that he's on the truck where she says he should be as captain, which puts her on aid car, so then she doesn't have to deal with the fires.
Right.
Because obviously her fear is starting to get the best of her, and this has not escaped Warren's attention. Warren then catches Vic staring at the flame of a blowtorch and confronts her about her fear of fire. And he says that he's been watching her avoid fires for weeks. And then she says, well, that's working like a charm. And he tries to reason with her and says that he's seen this in surgeons before, and they get a fear of cutting. And that the longer she leaves it, the worse it's going to get. But she tells him in standard season 1 Vic mode that she doesn't need him to doctor her. And then a call comes in before they can get further into their conversation. And they go to the address of the call, but it's essentially just the middle of a road, and they can't find the victim or what the incident is, really, until Vic sees one of the women from the cold open, who we find out is called Piper. And she's stuck with her foot in a pothole in the middle of the road with a UPS truck barreling towards her at speed. And then Vic leaps into action, sprints towards Piper. She signals for the truck to stop and then throws her body in front of Piper's. And then the truck just about sees them in time and swerves at the last second. Dean tells Vic that it was ridiculous, grinning all over his face. They do a little fist bump. And Travis is concerned that the pothole could turn into a sinkhole, and he wants a wider perimeter around the area. Dean and Warren exchange a look because basically everyone thinks that Travis is overreacting, and they're still making fun of him behind his back. And then Maya and Vic start to pull Piper out of the hole, but Warren stops them because he says that the asphalt has pierced her skin and that they're going to rip her leg open if they carry on, and they're going to have to dig her out. I mean, it's not even...
No, it's not.
It's just such a naff. That was the best they could come up with. Someone's got their foot stuck down a bloody pothole. And the most dire thing about the situation is she could get some cuts when they pull her out.
Right.
Stop moaning, Melissa, and get on with it. Piper overhears Warren telling Maya that if they're not quick, then she'll lose the leg. So to stop her from panicking, Vic and Maya engage her in conversation. And she tells them that she's already been in the location where they are at the moment once that morning. And she goes there every day for coffee and a walk with the friend that we saw her with in the cold open. Maya and Vic offer to phone that friend for her so that she's got someone with her, but she freaks out and says she doesn't want her friend to see her like that and that she'll have to get used to life without her anyway, and that she was on her way to come back and talk to her friend about the fact that she's leaving when her foot got stuck in said pothole. Dean then asks Warren for his advice on the Pruitt sitch, and he uses a hypothetical saying, if you know a secret about somebody that you feel other people should know, should you keep your mouth shut out of respect for that person, or should you say something? So this obviously parallels beautifully Warren's situation with Vic and gets him thinking. But Travis breaks up their chat by coming over and talking to them about the slack on their lines that they're holding. They're still unconvinced that they should be babysitting ropes, as they put it. And instead they should be helping to dig Piper out of the hole. But Travis says that they're exactly where they'll need to be if the pothole turns into a sinkhole, and that he's not losing anyone on his first shift as captain. Can I just say, I'm really disappointed that it didn't turn into a sinkhole.
Right.
That would have been a decent incident if it turned into a sinkhole. And also Travis then would have been right.
Right.
And he would have been vindicated for, you know, having them babysit ropes. As it was just lame. Anyway, Piper confides in Mara and Vic that when her friend told her that she was thinking of leaving Seattle for New York, she had a realization that she was in love with her, but she was terrified of telling her and that she doesn't know how to tell her. Maya, classic Maya, says, well, you just tell her. Yes. That's Maya, isn't it? And Piper says, well, that's easy for you to say because you're fearless.
Right.
And Vic says, no, there's plenty of things that we're scared of. And then she modifies that and says, actually, there's plenty that I am scared of. And says that she understands Piper not wanting to tell her friend this thing because she doesn't want her friend to think differently of her. And so we're getting all these like not very subtle parallels everywhere. Then the friend emerges from the watching crowd, comes over to Piper, is shocked to see her stuck in the sinkhole. And there's just one little bit of lightness and levity to kind of lift the mood and give it a little bit of personality. Because Piper looks awkwardly up to the friend, smiles and tries to say chirpily, hey. But other than that, it was just all a bit meh. The friend just starts rambling about how dangerous the streets are, and then Piper just cuts her off and blurts out that she has more than friend feelings for her.
Yep.
But that she was scared to tell her because she didn't know how she would react. And then her friend reacts by kneeling down next to her and kissing her, and they agree to tell each other the truth from now on. And that gives pause for thought to Vic. I don't know, that maybe she wants to kiss Maya. I don't know. That would have made the episode more interesting too.
Yeah, it would have.
Anyway, in less great news, Maya says that Piper's blood pressure is too low, and Piper tells the team that her leg is starting to feel tight. So then they just drag her out of the hole, and her friend goes with her to the hospital. Why couldn't they have just dragged her out of the hole in the first place?
I know.
Honest to God.
Then there could have been room for a second incident.
It was... Oh, anyway, just so anticlimactic, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But back at 19, Maya, Vic, Dean, Travis, and Warren are all bantering over Chinese food. Maya says there is something about being stuck that makes you more honest with people. Warren asks what the likelihood was that the pothole was going to turn into a sinkhole, and Maya asks him what makes him think that they're safe right now, and that their certainty that nothing bad was going to happen at the scene was basically all bravado, that anything terrible could happen at any moment. And then Vic just blurts out, apropos nothing to everybody, that she thinks she has a fear of fire. Then Warren encourages her further with it, and she explains that she's been keeping it in because 19 are her family, and she was scared that admitting to it would mean losing her family. But that ever since the Blue Fire incident, it's taken her every ounce of self-control to not run in the opposite direction when she sees a flame. Travis thanks her for her honesty and says that they all know what they need to do next. A dejected Vic emotionally says that she'll tell Andy and Jack when they get back from their captain's test, but Travis says that none of them will say a word because Andy and Jack will have to report her. And he says that instead they'll keep her in the aid car for as long as they can, then on hydrant and pump, and Warren offers for her to use him as an excuse, saying that he's useless and needs training, which offers Vic an opportunity to sort of lighten the mood by saying that that's not much of a stretch, actually. And then the team all offer up ideas of hypnosis and doing drills, etc., to a very grateful Vic. And Maya says that they're family. And then it all goes back to banter again, but Warren and Vic sort of exchange a look that says it all.
Yep.
And as far as I'm concerned, that was that. Did I miss anything major?
No, there was nothing major there.
I mean, I don't really have much to say. It was just all so flat.
It was. Even the next, I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say.
No, I mean, Vic was the most important element throughout the whole thing.
Right.
And part of me feels like they only had this girl stuck in a pothole so that they could use the line about being stuck, in which case that was... I don't like saying things like lazy because I hate attacking people's art, but it did just seem like that they started with a sentence and worked their way backwards. I don't know. But I mean, as I say, the most important thing throughout the whole sort of arc was Vic. Are you softening to Vic at all now?
Yeah, a little bit. I would say so.
Yeah, now that she's sort of explained herself and she's opening up to people and realizing that she doesn't have to do stuff by herself all the time.
Yeah.
And again, I found in this episode that Dean and Travis were the two who appeared to be the closest and appeared to be a bit of a pair and had the most banter.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting for the Vic and Travis, the Travic relationship to kick off and for him to bin Dean. I liked Warren in this episode. Sometimes I think he's really clumsy in the way that he goes about things, but he genuinely cares, doesn't he? His heart really is in the right place.
Travis?
Warren.
Oh, Warren. Sorry. See, I can't even keep up on this one. I'm just like, it's hurting my brain to think. No, I agree. I think Warren is I mean, there's episodes I don't like him in, but I liked him in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that the team have done the right thing in trying to protect Vic by sort of saying, no, it's okay, we'll keep you on the 8 car, we'll put you on the pump? Do you think that they're doing the right thing in protecting her, or do you think that they're creating a potentially dangerous situation by covering up her fear?
I think for a TV show, they're doing the right thing. I think in real life, it would be different. But for what we're talking about, I think they're doing the right thing.
Good answer. Good. That's like literally the perfect answer. You should definitely not use that as a sort of a modus operandi going forward.
Right.
But for TV, you're right. That's absolutely the right move.
Yeah, it's good for TV.
Spot on. I think the only positive thing that I can grasp from this, I can't even say the word rescue. I mean, they literally like yanked her leg out of a hole after saying for half an hour, we can't yank a leg out of a hole.
Right.
But the only decent thing I can say about it is that I love how this show demonstrates routinely, and they did so in this, that they put equal weight on queer love, because it could have been a straight couple and it wasn't. But everything else about it, like you could have literally switched one of those girls out for a male,
right?
And you wouldn't have had to have changed anything in the script,
right?
And this is ABC, who cancelled Ellen DeGeneres' sitcom and told her that instead of having a coming out episode, her character should get a puppy. So this, it's a far cry from the ABC of 25 years ago. So
right,
there you go. I've managed to say something positive.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, shall we move on to the incinerator?
Yes.
Which, that's also just a crap name. So,
this was boring to me. I mean,
yeah,
just sitting there watching each one go in and do their own thing.
and yeah.
It was. There's not much to say about this either.
I know. So we start with Andy prepping food in hers and Pruitt's kitchen with Maya, and she's telling Maya about the knock and run she did on Ryan's door at the end of episode 5. Maya calls her a stalker. Andy says that she's not a stalker, she just didn't know what to say, so she hid in the bushes. And then Maya reiterates, like a stalker. Andy has made her dad a healthy lunch, which she tasks Maya with making him eat. We find out that it's the day of the captain's test, and then Maya, back in hype woman mode, tells Andy that she's going to ace it like she did the written test, but then Pruitt comes into the kitchen with a reality check and tells Andy that it's going to be the hardest thing she's ever done. Maya, quite gleefully, I think, tells Andy that the test is called the incinerator, and then Pruitt tells her that although they call it controlled burn, it really is a real fire in a real building, that fire isn't something that they can control, and that somebody died on the day that he took his test. So that's positive.
Yeah.
Way to go, Dad. Nice little pat on the back as she goes out the door. Try not to die. Andy is carpooling to the test with Jack, much to the dismay of Maya and Pruitt. But then when the doorbell rings, it's Ryan at the door, not Jack. And he's brought her a little marble as a good luck charm. And it turns out they've been passing this to each other back and forth since childhood. And they're just about to share a tender moment when Jack tips up and breaks it all up. Ryan says to Jack that he had just come to wish Andy luck. But then he kind of has to let go of her hand because they'd had like a little hand touchy moment. Yep. And then Jack very passive aggressively says, "Oh, how neighbourly of you." And then Andy drags Jack off and beats a hasty retreat, and they head off to the test. And then in Jack's pickup, he's giving Andy the silent treatment, and she tells him that she just got past telling her dad and Maya that they could get along, and that when one of them's captain, they're going to have to find a way to work together. But then Jack says, well, we don't have to do that today, and he thinks it's best that they stay out of each other's way. Then at the assessment centre, Frankel says good morning to Jack and tells Herrera that she's late. This douche again. Tiffany's shaking her head.
She does a good job at making her not likable.
Yeah, absolutely. We meet Ripley and Dearborn, who we know we're going to obviously see again later on. Ripley tells them that all of the potential captains this is, that the day isn't about winning, it's about being a leader. And Dearborn sticks a hand up and asks Frankel how many captain spots are open. It turns out they're all fighting for the captain spot at 19. And they're going to be tested in teams of 4. Then the teams are then selected alphabetically, which puts Dearborn, Gibson, and Herrera together. So that basically ruins Jack's plan to have him keep his distance from Andy. When the team of 4 introduce themselves to each other, Dearborn is impressed with 19. So their reputation obviously precedes them. And she asks Andy and Jack if all the stories are true. We find out through Dearborn that 19 have got the best stats in the department. And Andy downplays it and says, we get the job done. But Jack basks in the glory and says, yeah, it's all true. Yeah. And so that kind of tells you everything that he needs to know about season 1 Jack, I think. But their 4th teammate is this guy called Edmonds, and he pulls them into a fake inspirational huddle because he says he wants to look impressive for Ripley. And they have to run this drill, knocking down a fire and rescuing a dummy, and each of them is going to take it in turns as captain during this drill. Edmonds is first up at playing captain within their group, and he dismisses any input from Andy. He's condescending, he's sexist, he calls Andy and Dearborn ladies, he's patronising to Andy, he says things like, oh, we've got it okay, hon. So Edmonds then figures that the dummy they need to rescue must be in a crawl space. Andy and Dearborn offer to go in and get it because they're physically smaller. And he says, oh, that's sweet of you to offer, but I don't want to get behind. And then he calls them both hun again. And then Dearborn actually had quite a fun little she was actually really fun in this episode. She was one of the decent things in this episode, I think, with Charlotte Dearborn. He calls out, "Okay, ladies, coming your way." And she responds with something like, "Okay, sugar pie cupcake, boo."
Yeah.
And she tells Herrera that it's really tempting to stick her boot out and trip him. When they finish the drill, Edmonds is talking himself into having done well on it. And he says, "Oh, it was definitely faster than last time." So it seems like he's probably done this before and failed it before.
Yep.
He's panicking because Franklin and Ripley are talking between themselves about his performance, and he says there shouldn't be anything to talk about because the stopwatch is the judge. But Dearborn says that sometimes ladies just need to talk things over with big tall men. I did enjoy her in this one. That's one decent thing, I suppose. Jack and Andy both agree that Edmonds is an idiot. And Andy says, we can't have someone like him taking over 19. But Jack just cuts it down and says, but he made a good time. So we're just both going to have to beat the time. And then he walks away. Dearborn is up next, and she wants Andy to go past the fire but not put it out. Basically for quickness, I think. She's just worried about the speed, isn't she? Yeah. The time on the clock. So she's like, don't knock the fire out. Get deeper into the hallway by going past it. Jack and Andy question her tactics, but she says, look, it's my turn. I want you to divide and conquer. I've got a victim to find and I'm on a tight schedule. Jack even suggests using a cut through to go around the fire and get closer to the source, but Dearborn says, nah, it's a waste of time. And she just leaps straight over some fire, straight through a wall of fire, and tells them they need to hurry. Andy is isolated. She's on her own because of the whole divide and conquer thing, and locates the dummy. But by the time she's secured it, the fire spread and she's now trapped behind a wall of fire. And she says aloud to herself that that's why you're not supposed to go past the fire. You're supposed to put it out. She calls for backup. The team come and put the fire out. And Dearborn wants to give Andy a high five, but Andy leaves her hanging. And then outside, Frankel congratulates Dearborn on setting an all-time record. And then she gloats to Edmonds, saying, and that's how it's done, hun.
Yep.
But, I do not condone her actions, but I do condone saying that to Edmonds. So Andy calls Dearborn out on her dangerous decision. And Dearborn says, well, you don't get the best out of your team by coddling them. I pushed you and you rose to the occasion. And she says that's her pro tip for Andy since her promotion to lieutenant was so recent. And that's when she starts going from kind of funny to putting in these burns. Andy gets her ire up and says that she's basically been a firefighter since she was in diapers. We would say nappies, but since she was in diapers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nappies. We don't say diapers. Babies wear nappies over here. I always wonder where languages kind of divert and where it would have come from. Anyway, I digress. Andy's been a firefighter since she was in diapers, according to her, and she's happy to be underestimated because it means that she can sneak up from behind and take over. Dearborn smiles and calls Andy adorable. Then when it's Jack's turn as captain, they can't find the dummy. Jack calls Andy over for a sidebar and says they've done everything in the books and the only thing left to do is to leave Son's dummy. Andy's concerned that doing that will take Jack out of the running if it turns out that he's wrong, but Jack says that the only other option is to stay in there and keep searching for nothing. So Andy agrees that it's his call and she'll support him whatever he decides, and then we see them emerge from the building without the dummy. Ripley approaches and says, no dummy, and Jack says, not this time, and then there's an unbearably long silence. How long was that silence?
Seriously, it was like half the episode.
Yeah. Actually, if they'd left it a bit longer, they might have had to have cut some of the other crap out. Perhaps it wasn't long enough. But there's this super long silence. And then Ripley says that Jack's the first candidate in 5 years to crack that variation of the test and calls him very impressive, shaking his hand. And then Andy is initially really proud of Jack and then realizes what that means for her. So she is last up, but visibility is horrible because they've got all the residual smoke from the previous drills still in the building. And she says that they haven't been working as a team that day, but that's the only way they're going to get through the drill since they're basically running it blind. And she has them crawling through the building in a tight line, checking in with each other all the time. Then we hear a very ominous creak and part of the ceiling collapses, landing on Edmonds, knocking him out cold. So Dearborn calls it in. Frankel calls off the drill. The lights come up and Andy orders Dearborn and Jack to get Edmonds out to the A car while she carries on rescuing the dummy. But Jack says it's too dangerous, that the drill's over. The integrity of the building is not good, but Andy says that it's her only shot at captaining 19, and were it a real rescue, she would never leave a person behind. So Jack leaves it to Dearborn to get Edmonds out, and he goes to help Andy, saying that he's basically just using her buddy system, and that he's not going to leave her on her own. They knock down the fire. They avoid bits of falling ceiling. I think it's supposed to be exciting. It wasn't. They rescue the dummy, much to Frankel's dismay, and she tells Andy that she was just being selfish and trying to score brownie points instead of following the protocol. And Andy said that she thinks she was actually acting like a captain by not flinching at the chance to save a human life. Again, I think it's supposed to be inspirational. It sounded whiny. Ripley comes in and breaks up the fight, and he says that Herrera's about to say something that she'll regret, and he doesn't want to reprimand Frankel in front of the candidates. But he insinuates that Frankel's biased against Andy, and says that they'll talk later. And he tells Andy that whilst she made the morally commendable decision, he didn't agree with what she did because it was a controlled fire, but in a real life situation, they would have been pulling her and Jack out in body bags, and that he'll see her again at the panel interview. So then on the drive back, Jack says that he's going to win the captaincy for 19. And when Andy arrives back home, Ryan's waiting for her on the porch because he's come to see how she's got on. She hands the marble back and says that she doesn't think it's worked. And he says that he doesn't believe for one moment that she didn't kick ass. And she said, well, I did kick ass, but the marble didn't work anyway.
Right.
And he offers her a listening ear, but she says that it's her dad that she needs to talk to. And she goes inside, calling out to her dad, telling him about her day. But we know that she's talking to thin air because he's not at home. He's at Grey Sloan.
Yep.
Did I leave anything out?
Nope. That was about it.
That was about it. So, I mean, my man crush on Ryan continues.
Good.
I'm not convinced that he wasn't originally written as female, you know.
Oh, really?
Can't you see a woman in that role?
Yeah.
It works well with Alberto because I think that he's got like a really kind face and he's softly spoken. And so I think that he does a really good job of it. He's believable as this sort of lovely, sweet, gentle, soft man. But I think that if you stuck a woman in that role, it would have worked just as well. I think he's got some traits that we often associate with women more than men.
Okay, I can see that.
But do you think that Jack's anger at Andy is justified?
Yes.
Me too.
I mean, he still has feelings for her. So, of course.
Yeah, and the way that she just like basically told him that they were over through a third-party discussion with the rest of the team.
Right.
There was no conversation. There was no talking things through. She just literally dumped him in front of his friends and seems to be completely over it herself and expects him to just be over it as well and for him to be fine with that.
Yep, no, I agree.
It's just crappy, isn't it? It actually reminds me of the story of how Joni Mitchell dumped David Crosby. She dumped him by singing a song she'd written about dumping him at a Christmas party in front of all their friends, and everyone liked it so much they asked her to sing it again.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
Oh, dear. Anyways, apparently it seems to be a popular way of binning people off.
Yeah, I guess so.
David Crosby seemed fine with it. But anyway, speaking of Jack, we saw more evidence of how this guy is not the Jack Gibson that we see in season 5 and 6. He's just not the same person that we see today, is he?
No, not at all. He's very different. I didn't realize that until we went back and watched it again.
Yeah, and like in this episode, he's so cocky. He's assuming that Andy's out of the running and that he's the one that's going to save the day and win 19 for them all. And I just have this really horrible feeling that if Jack had got the captaincy, he would have been completely unbearable.
Yeah, I agree. It was good to keep him where he was.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you can't knock Jack from a professional standpoint and his capability to do his job. I mean, first there was the flip-flops thing, and now allegedly he's so elite that he's the first person in 5 years to crack the riddle of no dummy. But his attitude just stinks. But also, these days, Jack Gibson can barely remember to brush his own hair. So what have they done to Jack? At what point did he go from Mr. Elite to needing to be told to brush his teeth in the morning. Like, it's just, it'll be interesting to kind of see his demise, I think.
I wondered that too. Like, when did he even give up wanting to be captain? Because it's like he never really talks about that again.
Yeah, I don't know. The degradation of his wits seems quite steep.
Yeah.
But anyway, I liked Ripley. I thought they made him likable from the first episode.
Yeah, they did.
It would have been really easy to make him a bit of a bulldog, but he wasn't. They made him a really affable chap. Did you agree with what he said to Andy?
Yeah, I did. I mean, coming from the chief, I did, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his job, is to make sure everybody follows protocol and procedure, so.
Yeah. And I think it was a lot more even-handed than the way Frankel said it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Frankel did kind of have a point saying Andy's just trying to score brownie points. But then again, if that is your one shot, you've basically got nothing to lose at this point.
Right.
It had already come to an end, so she may as well have just tried. I thought that Andy's speech to Dearborn about the way Dearborn had handled the drill I think she started off with a great point, but I think she ended up being really bratty and whiny for me. Like, it felt like oh yeah, well, I am rubber and you are glue kind of a thing. Do you know what I mean? What did you think about that?
I mean, I think she was right. I think Andy was right in what she said.
Yeah. I just feel like Andy's delivery sometimes is just really whiny, and I think it takes away from what she says by the way she says it. I feel like I would take her more seriously if she was less whiny about things. I don't know.
No, I agree. I think she is whiny, but I think she did need to stand up to Dearborn because Dearborn was a little bit cocky in how she came across. So I agree with what you're saying, but I do think Andy needed to say something.
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah, agreed.
So,
I mean, I think that's the end of the episode for me. I don't know about you. I haven't got anything more to say. Have you got anything more to say about that incident?
No, it was painful even talking about it.
I know. I just didn't like it at all. It was just so flat. It was so unemotional. I think Barrett Doss saved it with some excellent acting, both at the rescue and in the beanery. But other than that, it was just so bland.
No, it was. It was extremely bland. And I think there's a couple episodes coming up that are the same way. So it'll be painful to get through.
Yeah. I thought themes of this one for me were secrets and their toxicity.
Okay.
And maybe that people might surprise you if you're honest. But other than that, I struggled. Did you come up with anything theme-wise?
No, I can't believe you did.
I shall take that as a compliment. In terms of things to look forward to, for me, it's just anything that's not this episode. It's something to look forward to.
Yeah, seriously.
But I can't remember how Andy's panel goes and how she talks Ripley round. So I am looking forward to that. That's one sort of takeaway from this episode. Anything for you?
No, just getting better, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Best growth for you? Who do you think grew the most in this episode?
Probably Vic.
I said the same. Yeah. Vic, by letting her guard down and trusting the team with her fear.
Yep.
And then best scene for you?
Probably the scene where she talks to them when they're eating lunch at the table, and Vic talks to them. Probably that scene.
I didn't even think about that one actually. That was a good scene. I chose Travis, Dean, and Maya in the barn when Travis has got his little book and his freshly starched collar, and they're making fun of him. Best lines / best bit of dialogue for you?
It's probably going to be Vic at the table. I mean, that's the best scene of the episode for me.
Yeah, fair. I liked Maya saying "like a stalker" twice.
Oh yeah.
She made me laugh. And then the most gifable moment for you?
Probably Travis holding the book.
That's literally what I've written down. I've written Travis licking his fingers and flicking the page over.
Yeah.
I think that was the only gifable bit, but it was really funny. Oh, mate, we made it through.
We did, painfully.
I know you've got to run and go and do your...
I got a couple of things I have to do.
Okay. So I will see you very soon for 107,
Yes.
Let It Burn, where it says Ryan gets competitive with Jack when he tags along to a disaster drill training, and Andy stays by her father's side when his health worsens. And because I've already watched it, I know that it's a step up from this one. So
it is. Yeah, I already watched it too. It got a little bit better.
Yeah, so we'll have a better time of it next week. I feel like we ran through this one just because we needed to get through it.
I know, and I hope they enjoyed listening to it a little bit.
Oh God, yeah, listeners. But we won't blame you if you skip this one, guys.
Yeah,
I don't think we could even manage to wedge our usual kind of humor into It was just let's get through it.
It was painful.
It was a slog, wasn't it? But guys, we've made it to the end. So we'll say bye and we'll fade us out, fade the music in.
Yeah.
And I'll see you soon, mate.
All right. Bye.
Bye, mate. Bye.